Hi, everyone. Have you heard this one? Seek first to understand, then to be understood. I have another one for you. Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Welcome to the Daily Life Hero podcast. I'm your host, Rachna Khanna. I hope you are having an absolutely amazing day because I am going to have an amazing day with my guest today. And I have so much to talk about this guest because she's amazing. She is a star. She's the co founder of Better Outcomes Coaching. She's a prominent advocate for age empowerment who brings over 3 decades of experience to her transformative coaching practice. She's passionate about great food, adventure, coaching, dreaming, and doing and spending time with her loved ones. Our guest today is an example that she lives her life to the fullest. She is a true hero in her life. She's a hero in many other lives. I'm a huge fan because the magic she brings to her work is absolutely amazing. And I cannot wait to have a beautiful conversation with her today. Because not only that she is a age empowerment life coach, she's a podcaster. She's also a podcaster, not only what she does, but also with a team, which is Let's Get Real. And she's so much more. And I can go on talking about her. So, without any further delay, I would love to welcome our guest today. She is Vicki Abraham, and she's beautiful. Let's put our hands together and welcome her. Vicki, here you are. Woohoo!
Here
Here
I
you
am. Here
are.
I am.
Awesome.
Larger than life.
Yes.
Oh, that was such a beautiful introduction, Rashna. Really, I'm moved to tears. I had to grab a tissue. No, honestly, it was very touching. Thank you so much. It's really interesting when you hear somebody else introduce you and share what you mean to them on their journey. And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I have something more to say, which I did not say because I wanted to say it right in front of you.
Oh,
When I saw you for the first time as my mentor, when I was so new to my coaching journey, and there you were, you know what? What you made me believe that there is a possibility. You made me believe that I'm good, I deserve it, and I can do so much more. And sometimes when you have so much doubt in your abilities, you can do it. I know I can do it, and that's why I'm doing it. But that support, what you just mentioned right now, that was such a great validation of me working towards my goal, towards my dream, towards my calling. So thank you for what you did because it means a lot to me and it will continue to mean because you gave me that you can do it. And I believed in that and I'm doing it now. So thank you for doing that.
yeah, you are doing it. And thank you for the acknowledgement.
Yes,
And you know now that you already had it in you, and you sometimes it takes somebody else to see it before we see it, or someone else to believe in us before we believe in us.
yes,
And it's that magic that can really make humanity.
yes,
That's the sparkle.
yes.
Yeah. Good
So
on you for leaning in and trusting yourself.
thank you. Thank you. And I can't wait to do so much more with you. And thank you. I also want to take a moment to thank you for coming and joining in my mission to cause the ripple effect of touch, move, and inspire people of self love and compassion. And I know you're very passionate about that. So thank you again.
Mm.
Are we ready to rock and roll? Because I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this.
Let's do this. All right. I'm very, very curious, and I'm wondering if you like to share your story with us. What happened? How did you transition into such a beautiful and unique, coaching style that you have, which is dedicated to someone? who's at a stage where the people think that, you know what, life is over. But you have taken that in a different direction altogether. What inspired you? How did that all happen? Tell us.
Oh, thank you for that question. And I think this is going to be the first time I describe that story. So, be gentle with me because it may not have formed fully in my own mind, but I know that it was led by my heart.
Mm, mm,
And it was led through a personal experience, which often is the case for
mm,
coaches or really any entrepreneur.
mm,
We are there to solve a problem that we've either experienced ourselves or we've seen someone close to us experience. And I think those two things are true here. So, um, look, why I became a coach would take you back a few years. I've really been coaching, I don't know, 15 years, mentoring in corporate space and so forth as well. Not always specifically as a coach, but as an executive leader. And yeah, I even half joke that I've been coaching since I was 12 years old. Yeah, that's I was the single child, raised as a single child in a single parent household.
mm,
So as you can imagine, there's a mum and there's a daughter, and sometimes they each need to lean on each other.
mm,
And I will credit my mum for being the reason that I leaned into age empowerment coaching,
mm.
because she just turned 85. And yeah, I'm really proud of her. And
Yes.
she's a vibrant woman who has lived a very full life and a very independent life.
Yeah.
And what I've started to notice with her and her circle of friends, one thing I notice is that her circle of friends starts to diminish. And I also noticed that with my dad as he grew older. That's one thing that we need to expect as we get older. Our circle of friends will diminish unless we proactively
Mm,
build our community.
mm,
And so that was the key thing for me, as to how can we, from a self-serving perspective, how can I ensure that I have a beautiful community of like-minded people who are going to uplift me when
mm,
I get to that age?
mm,
And how can we help the people who are at that age now
mm,
to empower themselves to form and build up a lift up community? So
mm,
it started with that whole concept of community, and then the coaching. The more I spoke to people in the 55 plus, it was actually more 65 plus age bracket. I was
mm,
hearing the same thing. I'm hearing, oh, my adult kids don't have time for me. They
mm,
don't call me as much.
mm,
I feel forgotten. I feel invisible.
mm,
There's so many feelings, and I'm very much a proponent of be in the driver's seat of your
mm.
own life,
Right. Right.
right?
Yes.
Doesn't matter what age you are. If you're 85, be in the driver's seat of your own life. Come on. What do we need to do to get you back in the driver's seat?
Yeah.
And there's something that happens physiologically, hormonally for men and women,
Mm,
um, mentally, spiritually. That all changes. It's a massive life shift when you get to those older years.
mm,
And perhaps there's not enough attention socially to how to help people of that age group cope. And so that's what I'm there to fill that gap. Age empowerment. Age is your superpower. Don't look at it as if, oh, I'm 85 years old. What about I'm 85 years old? I have 85 years of experience, lived experience. It's
yeah.
a wondrous thing. What if I could share that with others? What can I do to contribute to the world with all of my knowledge, experience, and wisdom? We
Mm,
need to believe in ourselves at any age, especially at that age.
mm. Wow. That is huge, Vicky. Thank you. When you said your mother turned 85, which is big, congratulations, happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah.
My father is turning 85 next year, and I know so I still go to him, and if I have anything I'm struggling to think, I just run to him and I said, "Can you help me? And can you advise me what is it that I know the answers?" It's just that coming from him just makes a huge difference. And you doing and empowering them what they already have, it's such a beautiful gift. So thank you
Mm.
for you doing whatever, because I know there are so many people who don't even know that such thing exists. There are coaches who can help them. So
Yeah,
my next question,
absolutely.
yeah. So my next question, and I'm wondering, how large I know you're a co-founder for Better Outcomes Coaching. How big is your organization? How can people know that there is support available? There is there is hope that they can reach out and make that life a defining moment, that there is so much more to life. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think despite the size of any organization, it's
Mm,
really the reach that
mm,
is important. Yeah.
mm,
And
mm,
I think we rely on community to
mm,
share information,
mm,
especially community of this age group, 55 plus I'm working with now,
mm.
because it's more relatable. I'm 55 plus.
Yeah, yeah. You
So I
don't
can
look
say,
at 55. Oh my God, I
oh,
have to
thank you.
say that.
Thank you. Well, 55, like you said in your intro, if it doesn't, what did you say? If you don't care, what does it matter? Something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
If you
doesn't
don't mind, what does
mind. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that is one. It deeply resonated with you when I was going through your profile, and I said, yes, this is the apt one. And I have to say this now again. This is one of my favorite, and I think I picked up from my father-in-law because he was mentioning this is Mark Twain's who talk about age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter.
I love that. I love that. And I
Yeah,
love that you brought up Mark Twain. Mark Twain has a connection to Bermuda, which is where I was born and
yeah.
which is where I've spent half my life.
Wow.
So nice little connection there.
Yeah, beautiful connection.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the question, I don't think we've answered the question. How do people get to know about this? I
Yeah.
think mostly it's word of mouth. And the other thing, important factor is to get help, you need to want help.
Mm,
That's the one criteria I have before I'll work with people
mm,
is that they need to want the help. We can only help ourselves. And
mm,
until we want the help, we can't be helped.
mm,
um, there's this, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink, kind of. It's that concept.
mm,
When we're when we feel it's a pleasure and pain, isn't it?
mm, mm,
When the pain gets too much, we'll reach out for help. And we've all been in those
mm,
times in life, and there'll be more than one of them for everyone listening and watching.
mm, mm,
And it's those that are the defining moments. So we mustn't look on those as bad moments in our life. In fact, they were the door that opened to enable us to get the help.
mm,
But also to remember that it's never a bad thing to ask for help. It
mm,
doesn't matter how much shame you might feel about asking for help or shame you might feel for being in the situation you're in. I'm
mm,
speaking from experience.
mm,
Um, it doesn't matter what your maybe tribal patterns are about what it means to ask for help. Is it a sign of weakness?
mm,
I'm here to say it's a sign of strength.
mm,
Help yourself, ask for help, reach out, just let someone know what's going on. It's
mm,
important.
mm. Wow. You have touched upon something very, very sensitive and emotional topic that there are so many people, Vicky, and tell me how this resonates with you. There is so much, I don't know, shame attached to asking for help that people, even if they need help, they feel that no, they can't because they have to project in the world that they're strong. How do you perceive this in different stages of anybody's life? When you know that people need help, but they're projecting or wearing a mask that they don't. How is there is there any point of time that in the community that you find that people need help, but they're not asking because they think they have to project strong? Does it make sense?
It makes so much sense. And I think it will happen to people through any stage of life. It
Mm,
happened to me just before my 40s. I was
mm,
running a business. I was very excited about being an entrepreneur, started my own business.
mm,
And about 18 months in, I'd run out of money and going into debt. And
mm,
it was a spiral financially and emotionally,
mm,
which led me to a very, very dark place.
mm,
And I felt in that moment there was no one I could ask for help because they would either tell me that I should have listened to them, that
mm,
I was foolish to go on this endeavor.
mm,
I was trusting myself, I was backing myself, and
mm,
yet it flopped, in my opinion, at the time,
mm,
right? Years on, I'll tell you, it wasn't a flop at all. There were
mm,
so many lessons, rich lessons in that. But in the moment, it felt dark and failure. And that's where the shame comes in, right? We
Mm.
have to just, whatever it takes to get you past that point,
Mm.
then you'll be fine. You can keep going. You
Mm.
know, if it's reading books, if it's taking a long walk, if
Mm.
it's listening to podcasts,
Mm.
listening to other people's stories of how
Mm.
they found hope, looking for light, you know, looking at who you're hanging out with, or are you hanging out with anyone? Are you hiding yourself away? All
Mm.
of these things happen with shame. And
Mm.
it's a really big subject that doesn't really get spoken about that
Mm.
much. So
Mm.
there's some misinformation and there's some lack of information. So
Mm.
if anyone feels like that at any time, then know that it's normal.
Mm.
And I find that, you know, to self-inform is the first step. And
Mm.
then you may just get the courage to take it further and reach out to another human, because it's humans that help humans. We can't do everything in isolation.
Mm.
Yeah. But to your point about what age or what point in life this
Mm.
happens, there are studies to show that people in their 70s
Mm.
start to feel loneliness.
Mm.
So without even knowing it, and there's some connection there between loneliness and shame,
Mm.
because there's some stigma around being lonely.
Mm.
You know, especially if you've lived a whole adult life and you've lived a successful life in the corporate world, or you've been a successful parent and, you know, everything's great. And things just start to change in life little by little, and you start to feel lonely without being able to put a word to it. And this is a pandemic. This is an epidemic, I should say.
Mm.
Loneliness has been declared by the World Health Organization as an epidemic
Wow.
in these current times.
Mm. Mm.
So it's definitely something to be aware of.
Wow. That is huge.
Mm.
That takes me to another question, and I will ask in a minute because I remember when I lost my mother-in-law in 2021, my father-in-law has never been alone all his life. And it was a shock. Of course, it was a shock to all of us. But 50 years of marriage, and then all of a sudden, this person is not there. And it was so difficult for us to understand as a family members also that how is it that we can just help him, support him, that he can feel, he can grieve, but he also does few things that, you know, are meant for him, not for anybody else. We're still trying to be honest. And that leads to my next question. What are the key experiences you have had in people transitioning from feeling that they don't have anything else to do, there is no purpose, and then transitioning into them to what your motto is? You're the driver of your bus, you drive your own bus. How do you get that? How does this transition looks like?
Thank you for that question. Sorry to hear about your experience too.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it is such a normal experience to feel like you have to grieve. You
Mm.
know, there's a lot of social expectations, especially on the generation that
Mm.
are 65 plus now. I think the 65 plus generation 2 decades from now will be experiencing very different things, right? But the social pressures and the things we grew up with now, it's just a very different mindset.
Mm.
So the question about how do you transition
Mm.
from a lack of purpose to having purpose?
Mm.
And I would say the first step is awareness.
Mm.
And the second step is giving yourself permission, knowing that it's okay to have purpose outside of what it used to be.
Wow.
So in some cases, it might have been, you know, in some experiences that I've helped people through, it may have been that their children were their purpose for their entire adult life.
Right.
And now their kids don't need them. The kids aren't even calling them anymore. You know,
Mm.
I do tend to ask, are you calling them? Because the telephone works both ways,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And it's okay to call them.
Mm.
Don't feel like they're too busy. They want to hear from you. They just don't have the time to pick up the phone and do it themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
In most cases, obviously, there's sometimes some family dynamics that we can also work through as separate conversations. But for the most part, you know, the lack of hearing from someone doesn't mean that they don't want to hear from you.
Mm, mm,
But also, this purpose question is very much about looking inside.
mm,
And we often will go back to what made you happy before that chunky chapter of your life where you were raising kids or keeping the household and, working 9 to 5, or in many cases, 7 to 8, long days, long nights.
mm,
Um, the key is really to look at what was it that used to make you happy?
mm,
Where
mm,
do you find your joy?
mm,
What kinds of things make you sing or skip? Like, there's going to be moments. It's about having awareness of those moments when they happen and then
mm,
amplifying them.
mm. Oh, that is awesome. That's
Yeah.
one of the golden nugget I'm going to share with my father-in-law.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we also have this group called WISE. And I think the principles of that group
Mm,
carry through to anyone, whether they're in the group or not. Wisdom,
mm,
insights, sharing experiences. There's
mm,
a couple of things there. You know, recognize that you have wisdom. You're
mm,
sitting on a minefield of gold field of wisdom.
mm,
You have insights. You have you have shared experiences, and you can share your experiences.
mm,
And the more you share your experience with somebody who wants to hear them,
mm,
that's the other thing.
mm,
Don't just tell your story to someone who isn't interested, because that'll be disempowering for you
right.
and it's not adding value to them.
Mm,
But there are definitely networks and ways that you can find people who want to hear from you. They want your experience.
mm,
So
mm,
share with them. Be
mm,
mindful of who you're sharing your stories with. That's, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see people being of any age being
mm,
seen and
mm,
heard.
mm.
Yeah. And that's what we do in our groups. We just hold space for people to be seen and heard.
That is huge. And Vicky, that brings to my next question, and I can't wait to ask that question, but I just want to, unpack this with you. That how is it that we know that, this generation of 55 and above or over that, they have some set values, they have some certain set of beliefs, which may not be, I don't know, I don't want to use the word appropriate, but which may not be um, which may not be significant to the people of generation now. And they're very different. And it's not their fault that these are the kind of belief systems or the values they have had, because their life was different and our life is different, or this generation's life is different. But the kind of wisdom they may have may be coming from that belief system and values. So have you come across certain setbacks or certain strategies which may not work? Or how does it work? How does it move forward from somebody who's ready to share the wisdom, but it does not sit well with the generation they are speaking with? Like you just mentioned, it would be very disempowering if you're speaking or sharing your story to someone who can't resonate with you. But how about that people are willing to listen, but the values and the belief system do not match? How do they come back? Because there is a huge possibility they were running from a place of fear, and now it's different. It's not the same. Do you think there are certain personal setbacks and strategies they may have to change?
Mm. I love this question, and I have an idea of how I could answer it.
Mm,
But if I may, I'd love to explore more what you think
mm,
the answer is, because it sounds like it's based on some level of experience there. Do
mm.
you have any ideas or insights on what it
Uh,
might take
yeah,
for there to be more connection between those two generations?
yeah, it's a great because I have been wondering and I'm curious. I have two fathers, one father-in-law and my father. I'm happy the way he is. At this particular, from my perspective, I have zero expectations from him that he would understand why I do things the way I do things. And I give space to him, and he is giving space to me as well, in a way that I understand that, he can't understand why I'm functioning this way. And I understand that he has his own reasonings that he does it. But sometimes when he goes out, not to me, but to my daughter, like, don't sit like this, or don't behave like this, which is like, how do I go back? And I go back to my daughter. If you feel uncomfortable, you're free to talk. Hey, grandpa, this is how I would want it. Is this something we can both discuss? But sometimes it doesn't happen. And then we just say, you do you. And if there is any conflict, let's sit together and help each other. Because nobody is coming from the place of, I don't like you. Everybody love everybody because it is from the place of love. But yes, there are certain things which may not be together, but they can travel parallelly. But you may not, it will not overlap, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. And it's such a beautiful answer. It's
Mm.
what you've shared is that you are willing for somebody else to be them
Mm.
with their own set of beliefs
Yeah.
and experiences,
Mm.
as long as you are also respected in having your own set of beliefs
Mm.
and experiences. And when we go through the world,
Mm.
knowing that each person comes from a different perspective and through
Mm.
different lived experiences,
Mm.
then we have harmony for the most part.
Yeah.
And if it's not harmony, then as you said, you have that conversation. So I think
Mm.
that was a beautiful answer to your question.
Yeah. And do you reckon, because especially in my household, when I look at it and in different household, that don't do this. And sometimes the communication is a gap. There is no communication. We just go into our shell. Oh, I don't like it. I don't want to discuss about it. And that is the biggest gap. It could not be a generation gap. It could be a communication gap.
Ah, that's gold.
Yeah.
That is gold. Exactly, exactly right. It quite often is a communication gap.
Mm.
We blame it on a generation gap, and it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting about a gap or a void is
Mm.
that nature will fill a void,
Mm.
right? There's no, a void does never exist for very long because for as long as something isn't said,
Mm.
each person has filled that void with their own thoughts and their own beliefs and their own idea and story of what was actually not said.
Mm.
And that's the key to good communication is not to leave voids because
Yeah.
as long as there's a void, someone's filling it with their own story. And the person who left the void, who perhaps wasn't ready to speak or didn't close off a conversation effectively,
Yeah.
they've actually done themselves more harm than good. So if you're not ready to speak, close it off nicely so that the
Cool.
person knows you can come back and have a conversation later. Don't leave the void.
Totally the point. Oh my God, I have such beautiful example to share with you, Vicky.
Yeah,
What you
please.
just said is like you just nailed it. I remember one of my, it's my close relation. So this is, and my daughter is very open now. Earlier she wasn't. After my coaching journey and healing journey, when I have started giving space to her as a human, I don't rule over her like what I have grown into,
Beautiful.
what my environment was very different, what she is. And I have realized that no, she's human. She has her own right and space, and I'm there to support her. And she can blossom whichever way she wants. And I remember one of the uncles said, "Why can't you be why can't be you submissive? Don't talk to me like that." And I'm there watching, observing. Ooh, ooh, I'm sure Rhea is not liking it. But, and I've also told Rhea, my daughter, that respect behavior is not age. Because if something which is inappropriate and that does not follow your boundaries, you can say it. I'm sorry, I don't like it. This is not acceptable to me. I would not like you to talk to me like that. Just state a statement and just walk out if you don't like it, if they don't appreciate. And that happened. And that is in the relations. And she was like, what do you mean? You want me to be submissive? That means you don't want me to be confident, which also means that I can't go out and speak to anyone because there are people out there like you who would ask me to be submissive. I was like, oh my God, this is good. Here, the communication is very clear what is the expectation, but the other person is so closed, they just don't want to hear about anything of that sort. And they said, don't talk to me. in that tone or in that manner. And I'm like, oh my God, when people are not ready, she's only little. She then was 14 years old. She doesn't know. And the kind of environment we have created, and I'm telling, she has every right to speak her heart. She can clarify, be respectful, be mindful. That, and she said, but I was respectful and mindful because that was something which was not acceptable to me. I said, and I were both Rohit and I were watching and I said, hmm, this is interesting.
Mm.
What would you say on that, Vicky?
You must be a proud mum, I would
I
say.
am.
I think that's just such a beautiful way for a young lady to learn about the world.
Yeah,
And really, when you said she doesn't know, the thing she doesn't know is all the habits and beliefs and limiting beliefs that we've learnt along the
yeah,
way. She hasn't learnt them yet.
yeah,
And let's pray that she doesn't need to learn them because she has a supportive mother who's really switched on,
yeah,
like you, who gives her the space to be herself. And that's ultimately what she was doing. She was being herself.
yeah.
Now, of course, it might not be met favorably from another person who's not familiar with that way of living.
Mm,
And yeah, I think that's okay too. We give each other space to just be who we are, like you said. And
mm.
it's unfortunate that sometimes relationships break down
Yeah,
because of that, because someone is rigid in their belief system. But also, let's have grace and compassion for them that they're rigid in their belief system because that's what's keeping them safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love that. Because it is equally important for others, people from different generation also to feel, hey, they're seen and validated because they didn't get when they were growing up and they thought that was the only way to live, which is not
Yeah.
true. Which is not true.
Yeah, but it's what's kept them safe and kept
Yeah.
them going for their whole life. If you're talking about an 85-year-old person who's been a certain way and thought a certain way and lived life experiences that came about because of certain belief systems,
Mm,
then you're not about to try and undo any of that. I remember there's a line in Sex and the City, used to be one of my favorite TV shows.
mm,
And she says, a man is like a sweater. And I'd say this about any person, it doesn't have to be a man. A
mhm.
person is like a sweater. If you pull one thread, the whole thing could unravel. So, we need to be careful when we start messing with other people's way of being.
Yeah,
We can focus on who we are
yeah,
and let them focus on who they are. And if they get curious and want to ask us, well, how do you handle such and such? I would have collapsed under those circumstances. You can share what you're
yeah,
doing
yeah,
to cope. And for me, it's all about coping. Resilience is my main theme,
yeah.
even through this wise age group, age empowerment. It's about resilience. And for me, resilience is about preparing for when the proverbial hits the fan.
Mm,
Right? Resilience is not about grit and pushing through and having discipline and toughing it out.
mm,
I just I reject all of that.
yeah,
Resilience for me is about being prepared for when something, maybe the rug gets pulled from under you,
mm,
trusting yourself that whatever happens, you've got it. You
yeah.
can back yourself. You can handle it. I'm
Wow.
kind of got this working title for a book. I'm thinking it's,
Ooh,
I can't cope. Yes, you can. I
yeah.
think that sounds like a pretty jazzy title for a book.
I love that. And I'm now waiting for you to tell us more about this book.
Well, I can't tell you much more because it's just a thought process at the moment. But watch this space in
Yes.
2025 because I've given myself the goal. 2025 is book writing year.
Yeah. And we'll be back on the podcast to promote your book, and people can say, yes, I want this book.
Exciting. We can
Yeah.
we can count down towards or count up
Yeah.
to our million people that we're inspiring
Yes.
by
30.
2026.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not? Thank you. And
Yeah.
that takes me to my next question to you, which is related to pretty much your, age empowerment and life coach. How do you envision the ideal future um, in this aspect that, we will also reach there. I will also reach there. And I have already started the change within me. And if I'm changing, I know I have started the change in my daughter. And I can already see that. And in my surroundings also. If I were to ask you, how do you envision the ideal future, the steps that you're taking in and your company and the community? Do you think it will be a different world in the future? What do you envision?
One thing I could tell you is it most definitely is going to be a different world in the future.
Mm,
It
mm,
is. Whether we have control over it or not, it's different. Every day is different.
mm,
Every day is different to yesterday, different and progressive and moving forward,
mm,
especially when we look at what's happening on the technology side of things with AI, with the way people are learning,
mm,
with the way people are working,
mm,
and with the way people are communicating.
mm, mm,
So the key really is to embrace that.
mm,
And what does the future look like? Goodness. Well, my business is I co-founded with my partner,
mm,
Thaddeus. He's a mediator. And
mm,
so we're Better Outcomes Coaching and Mediation. And
mm,
so we have this shared vision
mm,
that, we can help people to live healthy lives and be in the driver's seat of their own life.
mm,
And he catches people who didn't quite, they're in situations where they weren't quite in the driver's seat or they feel like they weren't.
mm,
And he'll mediate conflict. He'll help people to navigate conflict. So we're really taking both sides of this, the prevention and the cure.
mm,
So I love that that feels like a whole solution.
mm.
We don't have a mission per se of, reaching 1 million people by 2030. I would love to think that we did
Yeah.
have that reach, and there's actually nothing stopping us from doing that.
Mm,
But yeah, I think the first thing would be working out a way to measure that, and then what my very specific goal will be to do that. Because
mm.
I'm a big thinker and a big dreamer, and I truly believe that any message worth sharing needs to become mainstream and we need to get it to the masses. And
Yeah.
thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of that with your audience. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Love that, Vicky. I love that. You know what? I remember, I remember this week, you keep using it in our coaching life as well. How you do small things is how you do big things. I know that I do not know what does the mission look like, or I do not have, straight away answer for that. But I know that whatever I am doing it today, when I say I know what Vicky and Better Outcomes Coaching is doing has a huge impact. And by this medium and many other ways to reach out to people that yes, there is, I do not want to say the word hope, but I want to say what you said initially, that you're always in the driving seat. You got this. You can always do this. And if people need to hear this, I would play this again and again and again and again, what Vicky has to say. You got this. You can be on the driver's seat at whatever age you are. Because, hey, I am going to go get there. And you inspiring us right at this level, and so many people, and I inspiring at so many other people coming and joining. Oh my God, I can only imagine it is going to have a super awesome impact. And artificial intelligence is there. I know I'm not a huge fan of it because, yes, artificial intelligence does help me and make my work easy. But when it comes to human connections, I still believe that it is human only who can have human connection. And what you can do with your magic, that you can do it, because I need to hear artificial intelligence cannot make me do things. It can help me.
it can help you. It can
Yeah.
help you. And I like to think of AI, artificial intelligence, as we thought of the internet
Mm,
30 something years
mm,
ago, whenever the internet came out.
mm.
It was new for people.
Yeah.
It was new for people. I remember writing my thesis, on an old-fashioned typewriter. So, that proves that I'm 55 plus. But
I have done a typewriter. I have worked on typewriters as well.
there you go. There you go. So, when the internet came, it's like, oh, I'm not a fan of the internet. Oh, I don't know about this. Oh, there's the dark side. And look how we've evolved.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I
totally.
see AI as just the next wave of that. There's going to
Yeah.
be things that are really useful, and there's going to be things that we prefer not to
Mm,
have
mm,
exist. But that's life, isn't it? There's always
mm.
the bright and the dark,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, for example, my father or my father now, they would still prefer someone to talk to. And they say, I don't understand this. I said, that's okay. You don't have to understand this. We are there to support you. There are people who can support you. You don't have to do this alone. Like you just mentioned, that it's a new wave. There are some people who like it. There are some people who will not like it, but you got support. You got support. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that was another golden nugget you just said.
Yeah. And you can also choose whether to engage in it or not. It's like social media. People say, oh, I don't like Facebook. Facebook's evil. Well, they say, I see so much terrible things, so many terrible things on my feed. And I
Yeah.
raise my eyebrows because I never see terrible things on my feed. I understand why, because I don't engage in
Yeah.
the stuff they're engaging in. I don't engage in, I'm very selective on Facebook and on any social media. I'm as selective as I am in real life around who I'm hanging out with,
Ah, I love that. I
because
love
we
that.
feed our brain, we
Yeah.
feed our heart, we
Yeah.
feed our spirit, and we feed our body. And we get to choose what we feed ourselves with every single moment of the day. And that includes the friends. Even when it comes to work, if you're working in a toxic, what feels like a toxic environment, there's
Mm,
still a choice.
mm,
If
mm,
you feel like you're being bullied at work, you have a choice.
mm,
I'm not saying you have a choice to stay or leave, but there are choices, there are ways to manage this.
mm.
Get help, ask for help.
Love.
Don't suffer in silence. You
Mm.
know what we say, Rachna? It's, pain is inevitable,
Yes,
suffering is optional.
optional. And you can
Yeah,
make your pain as your purpose. What
yeah.
is that you want to do? Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to also note that it's fine for us to sit here and talk about all these things in a theoretical sense and, spout off lovely sayings, but we know them to be true in our heart because we've experienced it. But I think the key here is find one small thing you can experience to transform yourself, to transform some aspect of a relationship or of your personal self, or explore something that you feel might be holding you back. Just find a coach or somebody to work with to explore that and just question, is what I'm thinking and feeling true?
Mm,
Does it define who I am? Like, I think it's important to experience this and then continue your journey of,
mm,
yeah, I'm obviously talking to your audience, not to you,
mm.
but to really feel it is the empowerment.
Mm,
To hear it and to know it and to say these things is not the empowerment. We need to connect with it and embed that and know that it's true for us, that we are unstoppable as human beings. The only thing that holds us back is us.
mm,
And unless you've experienced that deep knowing that you are unstoppable,
mm,
then there will always be something holding you back. There will always be some level of resistance. And I believe that our job, I will speak for myself, my job in
mm.
life is to work with all those things and just peel them away so that there's less brakes on my life. So yeah, I'm already in the driver's seat, but I also want my foot off the brake.
Yeah. True that. I love that. Love that. Thank you. Thank you, Vicky. And we are almost there, but I'm interested in this is a personal question. Is that okay if I ask you?
Of course.
Yeah. So I want to know so that our audiences and our listeners also know what is like your daily life ritual? What do you do to take care of yourself, your physical and mental well-being? How do you do that on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, well, I can put it all together in a nutshell. So when I wake up, well, the first thing I do is that I ensure that I sleep in 90-minute cycles.
Mhm,
So if I know I have to wake up at a certain time and set an alarm, I'll make sure that I go to sleep at somewhere around a 90-minute cycle, because then I know I'll wake up refreshed. That was a tip I got from my wonderful dentist, and it's
mhm,
just been a charm ever since. So
mhm,
that's the first thing. Then I'm awake. Before I get out of bed, I run through in my mind the things I'm grateful for the day. Um, and then I just do a couple of stretches while I'm in bed, just delicious kind of spinal twist stretches that I just love.
yeah,
And of course, I have the pleasure and very grateful to have my lovely man next to me. And so we greet each other in the morning and spend some nice time together,
yeah,
which really starts the day beautifully. And
mm,
then yeah, so I have an eating routine that I've been on for about a year. that really is well suited for my body. It's metabolic balanced. So I know that what I'm feeding myself physically is meeting my physical needs. And I'm not eating stuff that is reacting, you know. So mostly that's a healthy gut kind of premise, foundation. And there's a couple of other little things, like before my shower, a body brush. I rinse my mouth with coconut oil in the mornings. It's getting really personal. What else do you want to know?
Coconut oil pulling.
You do all that. Oh, and I have, of course, have cuddles with my lovely cavoodle, small
Yeah.
dog, big personality, Matilda. Oh, she's my babe. She's my babe.
Yeah, I have a
And then, we often go to Pilates early in the
yeah,
morning and then start my day by about 8 and just get into the work that I love doing.
yeah,
I feel very grateful to be doing work that I love doing.
yeah. I love that. I love that. And oh, this is so lovely because I deeply resonate with you. And I have a groodle, and he's a mini groodle. I love him.
Beautiful.
And you
What's
know
his
how
name?
yeah, his name is Coco.
Oh,
And yours?
Coco, Matilda. Matilda.
Matilda. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you said it. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I absolutely can envision, and pretty much very similar morning that you just mentioned. And I said, yeah, this is me. I'm doing that. So I'm on the right track.
Well, I'm flattered that you're modeling me in my life,
Mm,
honestly.
mm,
I think the best combination is the one that you work out on your own. But
yeah,
yeah, I definitely do take inspiration from people. The body brushing, for instance, was
yeah,
a tip that I got from one
yeah,
of our guests on our podcast.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's
Oh,
always getting tips from people.
yeah, now I'm interested, and I know I promise I will over this soon, but I'm really interested about your podcast that you do. Tell us something more about it so that our listener can listen to your podcast.
Oh, well, geez,
Yeah.
thank you. That's generous. So, swapping podcast stories. So there's two. There's one that I do with two lovely, wonderful coaches. And that's Ashley Stevenson and Roshika Chandra on
Yeah.
Roshika's Facebook page. It's every Friday night for half an hour, and it's just a beautiful way to start the
Yeah.
weekend. And that's our happy hour on Facebook
Yeah.
every week. So I would encourage people to jump in on that if they're at all interested in coaching or some of the things that we've been talking about, or any of the things that you'd like to talk about on Transform with Russian.
Yeah.
And then there's another podcast that I've been running for co-hosting and co-founded 2 years ago. We've been publishing weekly for 2 years. We've spoken to over 100 business leaders about resilience.
Wow.
And it's really digging into their personal journey, where they felt they got stuck when they almost quit, what they considered failure, what their mindset is around money, failure, business, success.
Mm.
And we really dig deep into some very personal stories.
Yeah.
And then the purpose of that really is to help people who are starting out in business,
Mm.
because we know the stats, right? Most small businesses do not make it past the first 2 years. And we want to change that. We want to change the dial on that. We want small
Mm.
businesses to thrive. And I say my co-host is Laura Bell, and she lives in Bermuda. So there's a little bit
Oh,
of
there you go.
interest there. She's in Bermuda, I'm in Brisbane, and our guests are
Yeah.
from all over the world. We've had
Yeah.
guests from pretty much every country,
Yeah.
and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And also hopefully inspiring and educational. So
Yeah.
we've over 10,000 downloads, and it's over 100 episodes, and it's something that's just taking on its own life. And I mention that because we did it out of love and passion. We did it because we were driven to do it, just as you are with yours.
Yeah.
And one day out of the blue, an agency pitched a guest to us, and we thought it was a spam. We had to really do some homework on this agency and say, how did this happen? How did they find us? How do they know about us? It was just that defining moment, that pivot point. And
Yeah.
from now on, we actually very, very rarely invite guests, because we have so many guests
Yeah.
pitched
Yeah.
from agencies all over the world that we literally are turning people away. And we are booked till the end of the year. And now we're taking bookings for January. And have some very special guests that I can't wait to publish, who we've already recorded.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of them you know about.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just a really lovely journey. And I think it's a story of of hope and encouragement for others who are doing something, whether it's a podcast or something else that's led by purpose,
Yeah.
doing it because you're called to do it. It feels right.
Yeah.
The rest of it takes care of itself. It really does. I mean, you obviously have to have quality, you have to have standards, you have to have consistency. If we hadn't been consistent every week for 2 years, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do have to put yourself in the action. You do have to take action. You have to be in the driver's seat.
Yes.
But you don't have to worry about how it's happening.
Wow. And that is such a golden line that you just said. We keep repeating in our coaching life also in coaching world that just, your why should be big enough and how works it out. And your why and your purpose was so big that 2 years is not enough for any new starters of business. It has to change. And that gave birth to your podcast and your partner and your co-host. Oh my God, there is so much to learn, Vicky. I do not know if 45 minutes are enough for this podcast.
45 minutes is never enough for any conversation, Rachna.
No, no. I
Especially when
think,
we're talking about human behavior and
yeah,
what makes us tick. We could talk for
yeah,
days, but
yeah.
we can call it.
I would love to have you back, and I would love to have you back when you have, even if you have touched upon your book that you think that yes, you're contemplating to have it launched, then I would love to have you back, and I'd love to have you once your podcast for our member. We know that you're going to launch it, and maybe talk about that, whatever works best for our listeners, so that they can learn from you, from us, from any of my guests. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time for me, for our listeners, for the daily life hero. You are a true hero. We haven't dealt a deep dive in your life personally. Have we did touch upon how did you transition and how did it happen, but not your story. I'd love to know your story whenever you have time next, and would love to know more about you. But I think this is your platform now. I would want our listeners to know how is it that they can get in touch with you? What are the ways and means that they can contact you so that they can know who you are and get involved with one-on-one coaching or any group coaching that you offer? Over to you.
Yeah, it's so generous of you, Rachna, and thank you for that. People can email me anytime. It's Vicki with an I, VICKI at betteroutcomes.au. Or just look us up on Instagram, Better Outcomes Coach. If you're interested in the Resilient Entrepreneurs podcast, that's also on Instagram at Resilient Entrepreneurs, and you can get links from there to everything else. Or just look it up on YouTube, on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite places to listen, the same place you're listening to the Daily Life Hero. Search it there. And I really appreciate your, excuse me, your generous spirit, Rachna. You're very giving. And I love your purpose. And I just really admire and acknowledge everything that you do and the reasons you're doing it. And your why is so big and your heart is even bigger. So keep doing.
Yes, thank you so much, Vicky. And I can't wait to rock already with you. In my head, I'm thinking, when is it that I'm going to rock with you and know more about you, about your life and all you do? But thank you so much. I hope our listeners did get some golden nuggets that we discussed. And there's so much more that you are doing it. This is just a little snippet of what we have discussed today. So thank you. Thank you for inspiring. Thank you for touching and moving people who are just waiting to hear. It is completely normal. You can do this, and it is awesome. So thank you for your beautiful share with us. And let's see what future holds for us. And this is for our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in for this particular episode. This is a lot because this is a special episode dedicated to people who want to know what they can do once they touch a live stream where people think they don't have anything to do. But you know what? As Vicky said, you're on the driving seat. You can do so much more, and there is no end to it. You got this, and you are a hero in your journey. Keep tuning in, and thank you for watching. Bye for now.